In the app, you may have noticed that all the headers have the same visual style. And you may have noticed that in the XML that you had to add the same attributes to each of these headers, the toppings header, the quantity header, as well as the order summary header when we used to have it. If you have a lot of views with the same visual style, it's good practice to try and reduce the repetition by defining it in only one place and then referring back to that single place. That way, if the designer you work with wants to change how all of the headers in our app look, you can just change it in a single place and then it will be updated everywhere. To do this, we need to learn about defining styles in our app. A style is a collection of properties that can be applied to a single view. Properties can include height, width, padding, font color, font size, and more. Let's look at an example. In a layout file, this text view specifies a bunch of different attributes, but we can replace all these attributes with a single line that refers to a style. One advantage to using a style is that you can separate the design of the view, how it looks, from the actual content of the view. And in the end, both of these text views would look the same on a device. Let's look at where the code font style is defined. You can define a style within the styles.xml file, which is located in the res values directory of your app. Now in this XML file, the root node has to be the resources XML element. Within that, you can specify as many style XML elements as you want. For example, this is one style, and you can add more below this. For a given style XML element, you need to specify the name. In this case, it's code font, but you could have picked a different name. Then you can add a list of all the different properties that should go in this style. A property is defined using the item XML element. For a given item, you have the name of the property, and then the value of the property is in between the opening and the closing tags. If you want to create a style that builds off of existing styles, you can specify the parent attribute here. But you don't have to specify parent. This is optional. You can just define the style and then add in the properties that you want. Then in your layout file, you can simply refer to this style code font. This is similar to how we refer to other resources in our app like drawables with the @drawable notation. Here we're using @style / the name of the resource. Also note that we specify the style using style equals and not Android :style. Let's go back to our app for an example. Say we want to make all of the headings a dark purple text color, font size 20, and make it italicized. We could set the same attributes on each of these header text views, or we could define it once in a single style, give it a name, and then refer to that style every time we need it. To define this style, go to the Resources Values directory and find the styles.xml file. If it doesn't exist, you could always create it by right-clicking and going to New Resource File, and then creating a styles.xml file. As we saw earlier, this XML file, like the strings.xml file, doesn't define a layout. It's a resources file. In this case, it defines a list of style resources, while the strings.xml file defined a list of string resources. By the way, this is a comment, so you can put anything you want in between this opening symbol and this closing symbol, and this is just supposed to describe the XML below it. I've just defined a style called custom text. It contains 3 properties within it. These are 3 attributes that can be applied to a text view. So we have the Android text size property, Android text color, and then Android text style. The value for each of these attributes is shown here in between the item opening and closing tags. We have the 20 SP font size, the purple font color, as well as the italic text style. The possible attributes here depend on what view you are applying the style onto. If you're going to use the custom text style on a text view, then all the text view attributes that you're already familiar with can go here. If this style would be used on an image view, then the image view attributes would be valid here. Let's copy the name of this style and then use it in the activity main layout file. For the toppings header, I'm going to apply a style onto the text view. I'm going to refer to the style using @style / and then the name of the style. Then I can delete any attributes that would have already been defined in the style. For this example, I don't want the headers to be capitalized, so I'm just going to erase this. If I had a different text style or a different font color specified here, I would also delete that now that I have this style here. Now I'm going to apply this style to the other header. For the quantity header, I'm going to delete this all caps attribute and just replace it with this style. This is what the app looks like with a new style applied to the header text views. I could have put additional attributes inside the style, but it's really a trade-off, and it's up to your own preference. Sometimes you want to leave the attributes inside the layout file, and sometimes it's better if it's inside the style. Alright, so the example I just gave you is not the style we actually want. Instead, you'll need to use these attributes. We want our headers to have a height of 48 dp with text vertically centered within that, and with the text capitalized as well. These values came from the material design spec. You can see the instructor notes for more details. We haven't covered the gravity attribute in depth, but this just means we're centering the text vertically within the text view. So I want you to make a new style in the styles.xml file called header text style, and it should contain these 5 properties. Next, apply the style to all the header text views within the layout. Make them all refer to this header text style. Be sure to remove any unnecessary XML in the layout file. For example, you don't need to set the text size of this header text view anymore because the text size is specified within the style now. This is what the app should look like when you're done, using a single style for the headers. Check these boxes when you're done.